what is given? Number one, the properties inside the tank are uniform, and number two, the rate at which the fluid leaves is proportional to the density of the fluid within the tank. This is quite logical because the rate of mass flow will be more if the density of the fluid is more. So the question is that find, so rho is the density, rho within the tank as function of time. So let us look into a solution for this. Because mass is flowing through the surface of the tank, it is definitely an issue of mass conservation that will give us some physical insight on this problem. So to understand that, let us say that we consider a control volume, which is the tank, and try to write a mass balance. So I'm just writing a physical way of the same thing, the Reynolds transport theorem. We derive this up to the mathematical expression which includes various integrals. Here what I have done is those terms only where those integrals are there, I have written them with more physically meaningful symbols. Now if you see, first of all, this is always zero because that is the definition of a controlled mass system. The rate of change of mass within the control volume, what is that? So the rate of change of mass within the control volume. So what is the mass within the control volume? Density into volume. Remember that properties inside the tank are uniform, which means that rho is also uniform. So by uniform density, it means that everywhere density is same within the tank, but that uniform value may change with time. That means the density may be a function of time, and in fact it is a function of time in this problem, but at a given time it is same at all positions within the tank. So in that way, density being a function of time only, it means that this derivative will just become ordinary derivative of density with respect to time. It is not a function of anything else. Volume is fixed because it's a rigid tank. That is what is told. Mass flow rate in, there is no mass flow rate in, there is no mass flowing into the tank, but mass is flowing out, which is equal to K into rho. So what it means now that you have V d rho dt is equal to minus k rho, or d rho by rho is equal to minus k by v dt. So you can now integrate this. Initial density is of course given. So if you integrate this at time equal to 0, let us say density is rho 0, and let us say at time equal to t, the density is rho. So what it means is that you have the final variation rho is equal to rho 0 into e to the power minus kt by v. Okay. So density is, I mean, it's a reasonable, physical picture that we are getting out of this, that with time, the density is decreasing within the tank. And the reason is that the mass is leaving and the volume is constant. So only way it can adjust is by reducing the density. Okay. So we have seen some examples of conservation of mass. Let us now try to use the Reynolds transport theorem for the conservation of linear momentum. Conservation of linear momentum is something which will be following straight away from the Reynolds transport theorem, exactly in the same way as the conservation of mass. This is the advantage of using Reynolds transport theorem, that in its generic form, it can be adapted to the specific conservation laws very easily. So we'll start with the generic form just for our convenience. So I'll not repeat the meanings of the symbols because we have discussed these extensively, but most important symbols are capital N, any extensive property, and small n is that per unit mass, which is the only variable from one conservation law to the other. The remaining things are essentially the same. So we start with noting that linear momentum is what? So linear momentum is mass into velocity. We all know this, but we have to be a little bit careful when writing about this for for us, either a system or a control volume, because when we say mass into velocity, this for a particle it is okay, but for a fluid the velocity at every point is different, and therefore it is better that we consider a small mass dm and know what and if velocity of that small mass is v, then your n will be simply integral of dmv. Whether if you are talking about a system, it is integrated over the system. If you are talking about control volume, it is talking about a control volume, this integral. But it is basically either a small chunk within the system or a small chunk with reference to the control volume. Small n for sure is this per unit mass, so you can just call it the velocity. You have to keep in mind that the generality of the linear of the Reynolds transport theorem allows us to consider also a vector, and therefore here we are using a vector as the mathematical representative of the linear momentum conservation. So let us write this now. ddt of n is integral of system. This is equal to there is a small n which I have missed here. Here, let me write it here. But small n is v. Okay. Now we will consider two things. At least one, that is stationary control volume. So if we consider a stationary control volume, then relative velocity will be replaced by absolute velocity. If not, let it remain like this. What we will do is we will concentrate on the left hand side. See what is there in the left hand side is the rate of change of linear momentum of the system. This is very, very important. And by Newton's law, second law, this is the resultant force which acts on the system. See, by looking into this and putting a bit of critical attention, you will realize that we are able to write this straight away because it refers to a fixed control mass system. We cannot write this straight away for this term because this doesn't talk about any identified fixed mass. So while we can write this as the resultant force on the system, but we are applying a control volume based conservation principle in the Eulerian approach of fluid mechanics. So what we essentially need to do is to adapt the resultant force on the system expression to resultant force on the control volume. So the question is, can we write this or not? That the resultant force on the system is same as the resultant force on the control volume. Remember the derivation of this expression. So we have this system at time t, and we considered a very small time interval of delta t around that, so that the system can only change its configuration slightly. So there is a time t plus delta t where the system has a new configuration, and the overlap between these two is considered as the identified region which you specify as control volume. So since you are taking that delta t tends to 0, the system is tending to the control volume, right, converging. That means the force on the system and the force on the control volume, they are in this limiting sense tending to be the same. So this is a very subtle factor, but very, very important, that finally you can just write the resultant force on the control volume when you are relating that with the change of velocity. So with this understanding, let us try to solve a problem where we can apply this. So problem. Let us say there is a plate, flat plate, and stationary, not moving. Now water is coming from the far stream with a uniform velocity u infinity. So the fluid is water, liquid water. Now what happens is because of the viscous interaction between the water and the solid boundary, the fluid at the solid boundary comes to a standstill in the horizontal direction. That means it doesn't simply move at the contact between the fluid and the solid boundary. This is known as the no-slip boundary condition. When this is happening, it is not the same case for the fluid which is not directly in contact with the plate. The fluid which is not directly in contact with the plate, that is still moving, but it is moving a bit slowly as compared to how it was moving before encountering the plate. Why it is moving a bit slowly? Not that that is directly confronting the plate, but it is moving slowly because the effect of the plate that the fluid feels percolates from the plate towards the outer fluid, and that percolates by virtue of the fluid property viscosity. So in that way, if you see the flow domain which is above this plate, you will find out that there is a velocity profile that is developed. That means zero velocity here, and then the velocity increases. And in that way, there is a length, or there is a distance from the wall at which the velocity, which was the free stream velocity u infinity, that is almost attained, because it will be attained only theoretically at a distance infinity from the plate. So to specify that in terms of a coordinate system, we draw the x and y axis like this, and as y tends to infinity, this velocity at the section which I have drawn will actually, in the limiting sense, be tending to u infinity. But in all practice, it is not infinity, but some distance from the wall where it is not equal to u infinity. It will be equal to u infinity only at infinity, but it is very, very close to u infinity, say 99% of u. For all engineering purposes, 99% of u infinity is as good as u infinity. And therefore, outside or beyond this value of y, which we call, say, as y equal to delta, we will have the velocity profile where the velocity is virtually unchanging, not changing. Come to a different location, maybe here. Here also you will get a velocity profile, but because the fluid has encounter the plate by a greater span, the fluid will be slowed down even more. So what it means is that this 99% of U infinity that will be attained at a local delta which is greater than the local delta at the previous section. Now, the first thing that it means is that this delta is a function of x. This is known as the boundary layer thickness. So the boundary layer thickness is an imaginary thickness within which you have a velocity profile because of the viscous effects strongly percolated with, in this case, as a consequence of the influence of the solid boundary. Now, what we do to understand the boundary layer effect, we will of course have a separate chapter to talk about this, but I am telling you the minimal thing for solving this problem so that you understand what this problem talks about. So you have this boundary there, and if you draw the locus of these ones, so this is known as the boundary layer. That is a imaginary layer within which the velocity profile is there because of viscous effects, and outside the boundary layer you have uniform velocity, so viscous effects are not there. So what is given in this problem is that you have the velocity profile as a function of delta. That means u by u infinity is equal to 2 into y by delta minus y by delta square. Remember, delta is a function of x. It is not a constant, and therefore u is a function of both x and y. So your objective is to find out the force exerted by the water on the plate. Okay, so this is the problem that we have to solve. So let us try to look into this. So the key to understanding the problem is that we are asked to find out the force. So when we are asked to find out the force, it must be related to the linear momentum principle. And when we are dealing with momentum, we also have to make sure that mass is conserved. So in that way, the most basic physical principles that we may apply to solve this problem are conservation of mass and conservation of linear momentum. Now, to apply that conservation law, we have to choose a control volume. So one very obvious choice of control volume is something that I'm drawing with color. So a control volume like this. So you have the edge of the boundary there. This is called as edge of the boundary there. So BL is boundary there. So this is the edge of the boundary layer, and if you look into this, the edge of the boundary layer is of course not a straight line, but it is some function. We in this problem we do not know what is delta as a function of x, but we know that at a given location, let us say that it is given that this at x equal to L, delta is equal to delta L. That much is given. So I mean, we do not know how delta is varying with x, but somebody with a measurement of the velocity profile finds that what is the value of the delta at x equal to L, the length of the plate. Now, if we apply this control volume, or if we use this control volume, what I have shown in the figure by a bit of a dark line as the boundary, there is nothing wrong with it. But one issue is that if you have this control volume, there are three surfaces, right? One is the curved surface at the top and the bottom and the right. So for sure, there is no mass flow through this bottom surface because of the no penetration that we have discussed earlier. There is some mass flow through the right surface, but it is okay because we know the velocity and we can integrate it to find out the volume flow rate and the mass flow. The only thing is that we do not know about this. So the first question that I am going to ask you is that number one. I mean, I will first ask this question only. That is there any mass flow across this curved lateral surface or the edge of the boundary layer? Yes or no? Any one of you, and with justification. So is there any mass flow across this curved surface? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Can you give some reason why you think yes?
Sir, before contact with the plate, the velocity profile is, let's assume it's u infinity. When the same area, considering the same area, velocity decreases. So to maintain the same
No,
mass.
you tell me one thing. When you have no, you are right in saying that there will be some mass flow across that lateral surface. So my question is it mass flow? Sorry, let me draw it. Is it a mass flow out or a mass flow in?
Sir, out.
Mass flow out.
Yes, sir.
Imagine this control volume that I have just described, the curved surface, the right surface and the bottom surface. You need to have a conservation of mass of the control volume, right? So if you apply the conservation of mass to the control volume, and it's water, so inside not much change is occurring. So whatever is entering must leave. It's liquid
Yes,
water,
sir.
so no question of density change. So for sure, what is leaving is what is there in the right hand side, right? That is the fluid leaving. So to compensate for that, something must enter, right? Otherwise, how will you have conservation of mass? Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? So uh, as per that physical understanding, it will be the mass entering, right? This one, not the mass leaving. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that means there will be some mass I mean, entering or leaving is, we have come via this physical understanding, but for sure there is a mass flow across this. So when there is a mass flow across this, if you are applying momentum, linear momentum conservation, you have to accommodate that mass flow for linear momentum calculation. And that mass flow is across a arbitrarily curved surface. So instead of this, had there been a surface across which there is no mass flow, that would have been very, very convenient. So can we think about such a surface instead of this curved surface that is drawn here, where these yellow lines that I have drawn will not be there? That means there is no mass flow. So this is my second question. Any one of you?
Sir, choose a control volume which is of the dimension L into delta L.
L into delta L.
Rectangular.
So if you consider a rectangular control volume, so let us take that as an example and see what happens. So if you take a control volume like this, that is what you are saying, right? This rectangular control volume.
Yes, sir.
So if you take this rectangular control volume, what is the mass which is entering here? U infinity into delta into the width, right? That into rho density, isn't it? Density into U infinity into delta L into the width of the plate. This is the mass flow rate. Is that the same mass flow rate which is leaving at x equal to L? Yes or no?
No, sir.
No, right? So whatever is entering through here is more or less what, I mean, something is leaving and something is entering. Leaving through the left and entering through the right. Which one is more?
Sir, entering is more.
Entering is more, right? So to ensure mass balance, therefore something should leave from here also, from the top also. Otherwise, whatever is entering equal to whatever is leaving will not happen. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? Okay. So this, of course, I mean, these two control volumes are two valid choices and you can solve the problem. But the problem solving will require some calculation of flow of mass and momentum through side surfaces, for which we do not have a straightforward information of what is entering or leaving. So is there a possibility of, not this one or not this one, but some surface through which there will be no inflow or outflow?
Sir,
Lateral surface.
Sir, if we draw a streamline, then the fluid will be flowing along that streamline. So there will be no mass inflow or outflow. So we can consider that streamline as a one of the boundary for considering the control volume.
Yes. I mean, if we consider a streamline, of course, that is also imaginary, just like boundary there. But that imaginary line, the hallmark of a streamline is that there is no flow across the streamline. Right? Because by definition, the velocity is locally tangent to the streamline. So because there is no flow across the streamline, what it means is that if somehow, I mean, we could construct a streamline, let us say a streamline which passes through this point, and it is arbitrary, so it will penetrate it will cut the y-axis at y equal to h naught. that H naught value we do not know. But we, by our construction, we are attempting to consider it as a streamline. So when we have a streamline with this H naught in the left boundary and delta L in the right boundary, delta L we know, but H naught we do not know. But one advantage of doing with that particular control volume, I will just hatch it with some this one, this yellow color, so that you understand what is that volume. So this is the volume. If we talk about, we have a left boundary, we have a right boundary, we have a top boundary, and we have a bottom boundary. So here, by no penetration, there will be no flow across the bottom boundary. By the definition of the streamline, there will be no flow across the upper boundary, which is this curve, the streamline. So only the left and the right. So in that way, the calculation will be easier because we don't have to deal with an arbitrary flow across an arbitrary boundary for which we do not have any idea. But the only thing is that this H naught is not known, so we have to find out what is H naught. Right? In fact, if we apply mass conservation, that will give us that H naught. So let us try to do that. So we will apply the Reynolds transport theorem for mass conservation. So if we apply the Reynolds transport theorem for the mass conservation, you have, let us write this dm dt of the system. So our control volume is this one, A, B, C, D. So control volume is A, B, C, D. So dm dt of the system is equal to this one plus integral of rho this. Now if you look into this, one of the straightforward observations is that this is a stationary control volume, therefore VR is same as V. dm dt of the system by definition of the system is 0, and here density is fixed and volume is fixed, so there is no way that mass can change inside the control volume, so this is 0. So we apply this the conservation law with just the integral across the control surface, so that means integral over this one AD surface of rho is out of the integral, so V dot eta dA plus integral over this BC surface V dot eta. So 0 is equal to, now for the AD surface, that is the left surface, velocity is uniform, and so let me write it in a vector form. All the time I will not write in a vector form now onwards because it is easy to do it mentally, but just to make sure that we are understanding the how in the vector form it should be applied. So it is u infinity into I, and the unit vector is minus I, because unit outward normal vector is in this direction, which is minus I. And in this surface, again, it is not u infinity, but u, which is given by this, and eta is I, because the outward normal vector is I. So in that way, this will be rho integral of minus, it will be u infinity dy, dA is dy into the width, and the dy the limit of integration is 0 to h naught plus rho. This will be integral of u dy into width from 0 to delta. So from here, what we get, first of all, the rho gets cancelled. So you are getting u infinity. So first of all, these are all constants. Width also gets cancelled. This is a constant. So integral dy will be h. So u infinity into h naught is equal to integral of u dy 0 to delta. This is what we get. So from here, because u is known as a function of y, in principle from here we get what is h naught. So although h naught is not specified as a part of the problem statement, but we can get it indirectly by applying the conservation of mass. So now we will get into the calculation of the force, for which we have to appeal to the conservation of momentum, linear momentum. So the next thing is conservation of linear momentum. So linear momentum conservation is resultant force on the control volume is equal to this one. So here the relative velocity and absolute velocity are the same, because this is a stationary control. So let us now, this is a vectored equation, and we want to find out the force exerted by water on the plate. It's a drag force, so it is along x direction. So we can apply the x component of this conservation law, that is the force on the control volume along the x direction. What is this? This is now the velocity vector will be replaced by its scalar component along x. So this will be u. Okay. So first of all, the density is not changing with time, neither velocity is changing with time, nor the volume of the control volume is changing with time. So all these together will tell that this term will be 0. So you are left with the calculation for the control surfaces. So let us do that. I will just clean up this much of space so that we can write it there. So this will be for the surface AD, rho u and BC this one. So for the AD, remember that u is equal to u infinity. And this v dot eta we have just calculated by the conservation of mass expression calculation. So this was minus u infinity. Okay, and Then what else? dA is dy into the width. Okay. Here u is u. This is u infinity, and dA is dy into width. So you can say resultant force along control volume on the control volume along x per unit width. Width is not given, but we can calculate it per unit width. So what is that? The first term, if you see, okay, rho is constant. So minus rho u infinity square into dy. dy is integral of dy is h naught. And the next term will be integral of 0 to delta L. Rho you can take out. So sorry, I have mistakenly written this as u infinity. This will be u, not u infinity. It's a local u, right? It's not u infinity. So just by mistake I have written. This is u. So integral of u square dy. Okay. And the only step that is there is instead of h naught, we will write what is here, that is h naught is equal to integral of u dy by u infinity. So that we will substitute here. So this will be minus rho u infinity square in place of h naught, integral of u dy by u infinity, and then plus rho integral of u square dy. So now it becomes a simple expression. So one u infinity gets cancelled. So you can write this as minus rho u infinity. Okay. Okay. So u infinity square was there. So one u infinity is still there. So minus rho. Let us write it in a bit of a systematic manner. We'll put up an integral. Minus rho integral u infinity dy plus rho integral u square dy. So we can write it in a simplified, just our answer is obtained. I mean, we can just integrate this and find out, but we can write this in a bit of a compact form. So let us just do that for the benefit of the calculations. And not only that, it will give us some additional understanding. So the resultant force on the control volume along x per unit width. So what we can do is we can write this as let us divide it by let us multiply and divide by rho u infinity square. So if we do that, the first term will be u by u infinity you have a minus sign here, u by u infinity, and the second term is u by u infinity whole square. So this is simply minus rho u infinity square integral 0 to delta L u by u infinity into 1 minus u by u infinity. If there is no algebraic mistake, it should be like this. So now what you can do is, instead of in place of this u by u infinity, you can substitute this expression, put delta equal to delta L and integrate. So that integral is very straightforward polynomial integral, and it will be the force calculation. Now, can you tell whether this force that you are calculating out of this is positive or negative? Forget about the calculation of the integral. So just by looking into this, can you tell whether it is positive or negative? This force? Yes, positive or negative? So if you look at the calculation of the force, so you have this one u by u infinity. It is positive because u infinity is positive and u is also along the positive x direction. So this is positive. What about u by u infinity? Is it less than 1 or greater than 1? I mean, it is positive but less than 1. So it is between 0 to 1. So it is less than 1. So in that way, this 1 minus this one, this is positive. So you have a positive into positive, and outside you have a negative. And u infinity square is positive always, and rho is positive. So what it means is that this is negative because of the minus sign outside. All the terms are positive. So what is the physical implication of this? So the physical implication is that you have water on the top of the plate because of viscous drag. Remember, the force on the control volume doesn't mean force on the plate. It means force on the water, because the volume occupied in the control volume is water. So force on the water is negative. That means the plate is applying a drag force on the water with an attempt to slow it down, and that water is moving along positive x. So that retarding force has to be applied on along the negative x. This is the drag force. That is why it is called as drag, and that is reflective of this negative. That means the force is along negative x. By Newton's third law, the water applies an equal and opposite force on the plate, and that will be in the opposite direction. So let us stop here today. As I told you, and I'm reminding you two things. First of all, Monday we'll have the class test, and another thing which is regarding the logistics of Tuesday's class. Tuesday, I have some meeting at starting from 10 o'clock. So we will start the class on Tuesday at 11 a.m. not 10 a.m. So just let me note it down, these two things, so that logistically you make a note of this. Number one. So Monday is the class test, and whatever we have discussed up to today is the matter of the class test. And Tuesday class starts at 11 a.m. Okay. So let us stop here today, and we'll continue with the conservation principles in the next week after the test. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can put up. Otherwise, we'll wind up here.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. You have any
Sir,
question?
the syllabus for the class test is today's topic or the complete dynamics?
No. Whatever we have covered up to today, starting from the day one of this, day one, I mean, the first day of this advanced fluid mechanics course, till what we have done today, that is the syllabus of the class test. And it's like an effectively open notes, open book, open internet, whatever. I mean, there is no restriction. Any other question? Okay, so let us